I don't think that the Lord and all of his disciples could have stopped the Lakers.
This team, this organization, this city, the Lakers are NBA champions once again.
Your drive is there to be the best.
The night and the championship belong to the Los Angeles Lakers.
You're now tuned in to the LakersSource podcast.
What's up, everybody? It's your host, Ranch G, with another LakersSource podcast. Coming with you some reactions of the Lakers' first Summer League game. Kind of a rough start for Lonzo Ball, but hopefully we can get some improvements on that. I'm going to break that down and go over my quick knee-jerk reactions here in a second. If you would, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, follow me on Twitter at LakersSource, and I'll keep you up to date on all the Lakers news and rumors as they come through the wire. So, I'm just going to say it. I'm one of those Lakers fans that likes instant gratification, and I'm one of those Lakers fans that gets real worried after one game. And after one game, I'm very worried. Lonzo Ball didn't play well at all. I know a lot of people are trying to sugarcoat it and look at all these positives and say that he facilitated the offense well and blah, 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 blah. Sure he did, but he also didn't drive to the basket and make it easier for others very often. He had a couple of good passes. But, I mean, the fact that he didn't drive to the basket and finish near the rim, he had a wide-open layup at one point and he botched it. He went 1 for 11 from 3, 2 for 15 from the field. That's unacceptable. Now, I do understand that someone had said that, I think it was Mark Medina, had said that Lonzo has been a little banged up and only was able to practice 2 times out of the 5 or 6 practices they had this week. If he's that banged up and he's going to come out and play like that, he shouldn't have played. That's how I feel about it. But anyways, so I'm one of those people that just looks at the game and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I mean, this dude was the most hyped player ever in my opinion, and a lot of people will say, well, it was LeBron, blah, 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 LeBron. Well, no, it wasn't. There was no social media back then. There was no YouTube back then. LeBron had a high school game on ESPN. Great. Yeah, well, Lonzo Ball was on ESPN, Fox Sports, ABC, NBC, every social media channel, TMZ, everything, WWE, Monday Night Raw, everything you can think of. The guy got more attention than any player ever, and this is how he comes out and performs first game? I don't know. I mean, I'm going to get a lot of Lakers hate for this already. I already called out a few things during the night and lost about 100 followers on Twitter, which I thought was a little ridiculous because, I mean, you can't be delusional. You can't just be someone that thinks that everything is going to be peaches and rainbows and flowers and butterflies and everything's going to be just fine when someone plays that bad. Because it's, there's a chance it's not going to be that fine. As in, if we're going by the sample size today, there's a lot better chance that it isn't going to be fine than it is going to be fine. So, and I'm going to say whatever you want about me. I'm a pessimist. I'm negative, whatever you want. I don't really care. But the facts are, I know what I saw. I know what my eyes saw. I saw that he ran the offense pretty well in the first half. The second half was terrible. There was no flow to the game whatsoever, and I put part of the blame on the refs. They were calling a foul every time down the court on both teams. Possessions were completely dying. They literally, there was a stretch there where 10 minutes of game time took about 45 minutes of real actual time because of how many fouls were being called on both teams. I also thought Vander Blue was trying to play hero ball, and I thought that got everybody out of their rhythm too. Brandon Ingram played like a monster. I got nothing to say about Brandon Ingram other than looked like he has worked extremely hard. He looks really strong. He looks a lot stronger than he was last year, and he played great. And I was a critic of him because like I said, I'm one of those people that just call it like I see it right then. I don't look at projections or what they could become one day. I look at the here and now. And last year, Brandon Ingram struggled in the first half of the season and started getting better in the second half. Anyways, in the offseason, he looks like he got a lot better, and he's ready to come out and make a real good impact on the Lakers. So I'm excited about that. But back to Lonzo, man, that was a rough outing, and what makes it worse, I think my biggest issue with all this is how much hate that I'm already getting on Twitter from every other fan. And a lot of people are like, well, don't pay any attention to them. Well, I don't. I have thousands of mentions every day come to me, and I don't pay attention to a lot of them. But it gets overwhelming whenever you want your team to win so bad. That's another thing people don't understand. The reason I say this stuff and I say the things I say on Twitter is because I am a Lakers fan, a huge Lakers fan. I've been a Lakers fan for 25 years. I'm not a super young kid or anything like that. I'm in my 30s. I know, I've seen a lot of things. There's been 7 championships won in my lifetime, countless playoff appearances and playoff wins and so on and so forth. Great players, all that. I've seen Magic play, Kareem play, Kobe play, Shaq play, all these Gasol, all these great players during my lifetime. And, it's hard to watch someone that got so much hope and hype that he was going to be the savior of the franchise. I mean, just look back at Magic Johnson's press conference about the guy. And you could tell on Magic's face during the game whenever they were panning over and showing him during this game, like, what in the world is going on? Like, what did we just do? He had that look on his face. I don't care if you don't want to admit it or not, he had the look. And if tomorrow, well, I guess they play Monday, they play against Sacramento. I know later today they play the Celtics. So if after tomorrow you see, that things haven't improved, and you start hearing some things, or you see, and I think honestly, if we see some signing like Rondo gets signed in the next day or two, that's going to be that, that's going to show you that Magic really is concerned. And so that's going to be something to watch. I think today, if later on today, that if we see Rondo signed today before the Celtics game, I would really start having a lot of bad feelings about our current situation as far as our young player goes. And I know it's just one game, and a lot of people are just like, well, it's just Summer League. Well, look at the other rookies. The other top 5 are all doing work. Fultz, Tatum, Jackson, Fox, they've all done great. And Lonzo Ball came out and had the worst game of any of the players that have played from the first round yet. I mean, there's no other way to say that. It's just the truth. I understand that, his shot was just off, and if he would have just made a couple more shots, everything would have been fine and all that. But if you're not hitting your 3, why did he not try to drive to the lane? Why did he not try to, get fouled? Why did he not try to go in and get, other easier shots or drive and dish to someone else? It looked like he only ran the offense about 40% of the time. There was other times where he didn't look that interested in the game, and it just look at someone like Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant was playing as hard as he could out there, showing emotion, showing passion, played great in the time he was out there. I love that kid. I already love Thomas Bryant. That guy's awesome. That guy is going to help the Lakers out a lot. His energy and passion is infectious, and people, they got to bring it. When he's out there, you better bring it, and you better get on his level. And I know that Lonzo's passing is infectious also because, you saw Ingram made that sick, nasty no-look pass to Bryant for the dunk. That pass was sick. And also you saw a couple more what they call hockey assists from where Lonzo would throw to Ingram and he would feed it down to Zubats or the extra pass. Lonzo would start the pass and then someone else would finish with the assist. Sure, there were a few of those, but there weren't enough of those to erase the negatives from the shooting performance that he had. Now, I know it's just one game, and don't get me wrong, I'm not calling the guy a bust. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are legitimate concerns about his game that a lot of people had leading up to the draft, and they all showed their face tonight. And if later on today against the Celtics it's more of the same, and Monday it's more of the same against the Kings, then I don't care what anybody says about Summer League. I'm going to be worried, and I think the Lakers should be also. And just because of the hype he got. Again, if this was just some regular player that, his dad wasn't doing or saying the things he's saying, or Lonzo wasn't getting the attention he was getting, or all of that, and he was just another player, it would be just a situation where you're like, well, he's got to figure the game out. He's a young guy. He's only 19. He's got to get in there and figure the game out. But it's all compounded by Magic's press conference also saying this guy's the face of the franchise. He's this, and that. He's the savior. Everybody's saying he's the savior of the Lakers. The Lakers are back. It's the media's fault, too. I watch Colin Cowherd. I watch Skip Bayless. You watch, Chris Broussard. You watch a lot of these guys talk about. I know a lot of people don't have respect for those guys. Sometimes they're idiots, too, but I'm just saying a lot of these media people that millions of people are listening to, they're just as responsible for hyping him up as anything else is. They all expected he's the next Jason Kidd. He's a transcendent talent. I heard that. I've heard the Lakers even start picking up on these words. Pelinka said that several times. I just feel like a lot of this is manufactured, and I feel like I don't know how I feel. It's been one game, and I'm already feeling bad. So, and if you've been listening to my podcast or following me on Twitter, I wasn't one that wanted to draft Lonzo anyways. I never said I thought he was a bust, but I just thought there were other players that were better. And those players that I thought were better are performing better. So, take that for whatever you will. I hope you all tell me I'm an idiot here in like a couple days. Or, of course, his whole career is not going to be defined in the next couple days. So that's another, that's me jumping to conclusions and wanting instant gratification. But, if here in the next year or 2 or 3 years from now, I want you all to call me out and tell me that say that I'm an idiot for saying the things I said about Lonzo. Prove me wrong. I don't mind it. I have no problem admitting that if I'm wrong. I was wrong about Brandon Ingram last year whenever I was criticizing him heavily through the beginning of the season because I wanted him to, and I was hard on D'Angelo Russell. I've been hard on Julius Randle because these guys, a lot of them haven't shown that killer instinct, that determination to be great, or the fact just the skills that they are great. Brandon Ingram showed that tonight. The way he was attacking the basket, he was a different beast. He was laser focused, playing hard, going to the rack hard. He got by his man every time he wanted to. He was playing great. Now that's what I look for. Now I saw it. I saw that tonight. There was little glimpses of it last year with Ingram, like you said, or like Luke said, with there'd be about once a game that you'd see Brandon Ingram make a great play, and he showed you what he was capable of. Tonight, he did that about every time he had the ball in his hands, and that's exciting. So, I'll say I jumped to conclusions too early on Ingram. Again, I didn't say he was a bust, but I also wasn't, hyping him up or anything like that. I'm one of those people that has to see results. Show me. You got to show me before I say anything, because I've seen way too many players in all sports that were ridiculously good in college come in and be awful in professional sports. The most recent one that had hype like this, I think Johnny Manziel. Now, Lonzo isn't the same situation. Manziel obviously has, partying issues and substance issues and all that stuff, and that's a different problem altogether. But the guy had a lot of hype going into the NFL, and look what happened. And I'm not jumping in conclusions and saying Lonzo Ball is Johnny Manziel. I'm just saying the hype machine is a bitch sometimes, and it can make players, it can put a lot of pressure on players and make them, either turn them into diamonds or, they can wilt away. And I hope Lonzo Ball turns into be a diamond, and I think he has the potential to be a diamond because his father, as much as people criticize, I think he has mentally prepared him. I hope Lonzo does not come out timid against the Celtics later today. I hope he still looks for a shot. I hope he comes and plays even harder. I don't want him to sit back there and just slump around or look defeated or look like he's shook or whatever you want to say. I don't want to see that at all. So I really, really hope that everything I'm saying right now is for nothing and Lonzo balls out against the Celtics later today and we beat him and shut Tatum down. I also hope Ingram plays. I know he had that cramp at the end of the game, and you could just see Magic freaking out, like, nope, brother, you ain't going back in the game. So, I who knows? We had already seen reports that Ingram was only going to play 3 games anyways in the summer league. So if they after that performance, if they shut Ingram down, it wouldn't surprise me at all. So that's how I feel about that, and I really wouldn't be too surprised if Ingram doesn't play another summer league game this year. Hope he does. Like I said, I'd like to see him versus Tatum, see what he can do, or him versus Jaylen Brown even today. And I think he'll play. I think he'll push to play, so hopefully we see Ingram play. Josh Hart, I thought Josh Hart played pretty well. Didn't really get a whole lot of opportunities. He missed a couple, good looks at 3 he had, which I would have liked to seen him hit, but played all right. Kuzma played pretty good. I thought Kuzma played a pretty solid game. Only real criticism I had on Kuzma was he's in Laker film room pointed this out that sometimes his 3-pointers, he shoots them really early in the shot clock, and he has kind of a poor shot selection. Sometimes he'll just fire a 3, early. And if he makes them, it's no big deal. Everybody will praise him, but it's also one of those shots that it's badly timed. So if he misses it, it's worse than just a normal, shot in the middle of the shot clock when a play's being ran. And also on that steal that I think Lonzo had where he passed to Kuzma, and Kuzma was driving to the basket, and Josh Hart got out in front of him, and Kuzma, instead of passing to Hart for the for sure layup or dunk, Kuzma kept it himself. Granted, he did finish it with a dunk, but he could have had an easy play and given it to the faster guy and had a guaranteed finish with Hart. But again, that's just nitpicking things. But Kuzma, I thought he looked solid. Thomas Bryant looked great. That guy looked great. He plays hard. You can see his wingspan. He had a couple tough, hard dunks, hit his first three. If he could be the Lakers center of the future, a stretch five. I know Zubats has been that, but Zubats looked bad. I know I've seen a lot of people say this too, like, Lonzo's his first game and try not to overreact and all that stuff, but Zubats, a lot of people were saying that they're more worried about his performance than they were Lonzo's, and I can totally agree with that or see that. He's a second-year player, and he played so well last year, and especially in the summer league, that he just looked out of sync with the rest of the team. It was awful. It was bad to watch. So, and he's one of my favorite players. I really like Zubaka. So, Zupac Shakur, as Larry calls him, I like him a lot. So hopefully, he plays better too today, and moving forward. But overall, the Lakers young guys, they look pretty good, other than obviously Lonzo's shooting, and I'm only nitpicking because Lonzo's shooting. What bothers me is he shot such a high percentage in college. He shot 55%, and if I'm not wrong, I'm pretty sure it was his shooting percentage was the highest a point guard had in the last 30 years. And sure, it isn't, the NBA game's different than the college game, but we're playing summer league. A lot of these guys are college players or been in the league for just 1 year. So, I wish he would have shot the ball better. 40 plus, he shot 40% plus from three. If he would have shot 40% from three tonight, if he'd have made 4 of his threes instead of 1, we would have won the game, and he would end up with having at least 15 points, and nobody would be saying anything. So, hopefully he shoots better. I know a lot of people were saying that this is the first game he's actually played in his own shoes ever in the ZO2s, and that could have something to do with it. I mean, it does. People can be superstitious, especially professional athletes, and that's why a lot of people play in a certain pair of shoes. Another person I saw bring up the fact that he didn't wear his undershirt under his jersey, and that could affect things too. It'll be interesting to see if he wears an undershirt or if he changes shoes tomorrow. I know he wants to try to sell his shoes, but if it's a weird thing, and I know people could probably criticize me for this, but it's true. People are superstitious. They wear a rubber band on the right arm because it makes them shoot better. Or, look at what Richard Hamilton did with the mask he wore for so many years. That he didn't need that. He wore it because he was superstitious about it. So it's a NBA. When you're at this level of an athlete, it's very mental also. So him having those shoes, wearing those for the first time in a game situation could also affect things. And again, I'm being very, very critical and tough on Lonzo, and a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, and they're going to probably unfollow me like they did already tonight. Like I said, I lost several followers tonight just from saying, not really. I didn't even call him a bust. I didn't even say Lonzo was a bust. I was just saying that, like, man, all these other rookies are doing so well, and then Lonzo comes out and does this after all the hype. Lakers crowd, the crowd was going nuts before the game. They were going bananas. Lonzo starts the game with a sick, perfect pass, laser pass to Ingram for the alley-oop, and then the first half was still, he was running the point and run the offense well, and then the second half came around, and it was just a dud, and he just kept missing shot after shot after shot after shot after shot, and, missed 13 shots of the 15 he shot. So it's one of those situations where if he would have just played a little bit better, then, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But I just know how the media is going to react to this. They already are. I've already seen the articles. I've already seen the tweets. I've already seen the YouTube videos, the comments, everything. I live Lakers basketball 24/7. That's what I do, especially with the content that I try to get out to you guys. I'm always looking at stuff. So I've already seen what all these people are saying about Lonzo, and it's pretty much, 60-40. 40% are saying it's his first game. He played well as far as facilitating and all that. Played pretty good defense. Got burned a couple times, and he was out of position on defense a few times. So he did have some good steals, so I think that's what we can expect from Lonzo. I think he'll play defense, average defender, and then be really good at poking the ball away and getting some steals, but he'll also get beat. I don't think he's ever going to be a great defender unless he really puts a focus on that. And I think he should, because, players don't realize a lot of the time, like, a defense can get you going. Like, if you're playing bad offensively, or if you're turning the ball over, or your shot's not falling, or whatever it is, if you're a good defender, you can always hang your hat on that. If that's one of the most consistent things you can do as a player, is play good defense. If you can get to where you're a great defender, you're always going to have that. Every game you're going to have this. You don't have an off night as a defender. I mean, unless you're have an injury, or you're feeling bad, or you've got if you're sick or something like that. The good defenders are always good defenders. That's not something that you really have to, like, hope that you're top of your game. If you're a good defender and you work on that, you're always going to be a good defender. So I think hopefully he can start working on that and really be able to insert that into his game. And if he can do that, he'll be all right. But I just really hope he just makes better shots, or at least drives to the hoop and kicks it out more. And if, again, I wouldn't be saying this also if he would have had 10 assists. He only had five assists. And a lot of the reason I'm saying this, I've said it before in this podcast, is because of the hype he got, man. This guy got so much hype, and we were expecting so many things. We were expecting to see Game 1 the next Magic Johnson, and there was a couple plays where he looked like it, but then there was a lot of plays where he didn't. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Lonzo. I'm pulling for him. I don't want him to be bad, I don't want him to be bad at all. I want to be wrong. I want to be completely wrong about everything I just said. So let's get that straight. I don't want to be right. I'm not trying to prove anyone wrong or say the I was right about him. We should have taken Fox or Jackson or Fultz or Tatum or Dennis Smith or whoever whoever. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be like, man, you guys were right. You were right. Lonzo Ball is a great player. He's exactly what we needed. And the Lakers are gonna be back. That's another reason why I don't like having to wait. It's not wait. I shouldn't say wait's a bad choice of words. I don't like having to rely on draft picks to become your next franchise player. I know a lot of teams do that, but the Lakers, we don't really do that. We haven't done that since 1979 when we drafted Magic. We didn't draft Kobe. We didn't draft Pau Gasol. We didn't draft Shaq. We didn't draft Lamar Odom. We didn't draft a lot of these guys that are the reason we've been a great franchise over the last 30 years. So we didn't draft Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So, that's just not who the Lakers aren't a team that drafts. I know a lot of people try to, it's a copycat league and everybody wants to be the Warriors now, but people don't realize how incredibly lucky the Warriors got drafting the players they did, and all of them turned out. That doesn't happen. You don't draft 3 or 4 drafts in a row and get star players out of those drafts. OKC did it also. But OKC also, they gave up too early on those guys as far as letting Harden go. If they would have never let Harden go, KD would have never left, and they'd still have Russell, Harden, and Durant, and I think they'd be better than they would be the Golden State of the NBA right now, because they'd have those 3 players, and they'd be able to put pieces around those 3 players like Golden State have Clay, Draymond, and Steph. So, it does work. There are cases where draft picks pan out and they make your team great and a championship team. But those are the only 2. San Antonio, sure, I guess in the past 15, 20 years, San Antonio had a team too that they drafted. But that's 3 teams that have won championships. That have drafted them. None of LeBron teams have drafted them. Drafted the majority of the players that helped them win the championships. LeBron's been to 8 finals now, and all the players that pretty much he went to the finals with were either free agents or I granted LeBron technically got drafted. He didn't, not technically. He did get drafted by Cleveland, but he left. He went to Miami, and he brought Bosh and Ray Allen, all these other players with him that weren't drafted by Miami. And then he went back in free agency to Cleveland and got Kevin Love and all these other players. Kyrie was drafted there, sure, but all their role players weren't. So, I'm just not a fan. I'm impatient to a fault. And I'll admit it. I don't have very much patience. I'm a Lakers fan, and I'm an old school Lakers fan. So I've seen the success, and I don't really know what it's like to lose much. There was only a few years in the '90s where we weren't good. even whenever we were down, we still had Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones and some of those players that were still, pretty much all-stars that were really good players keeping us competitive. And, we weren't winning only 20-something games. We were still winning a decent amount of games and remaining competitive in those down years. Not like these past 4 or 5 years where it's been, awful teams that we've had. So I'm not used to it. I'm impatient. It's been about as many years as between the time that we were down after Shaq left until we got Gasol, and then we were instantly back into the mix of being great. And Kobe and Gasol led us to championships. We're right around that time where it's time for us to add to the young players that we have, and that's where I get a lot of my impatiency from is really saying that. Impatience, is that a word? I'm not sure. That's why I'm impatient, is because I want us to get that star. I want the cap space in 2018 to really pay off and get us 2 stars to add to this young core, so we don't have to rely on only the young core becoming stars, because they're not all going to be stars. A lot of Lakers fans think they are. They're just so sold that Clarkson, Nance, Randall, Zubats, Ball, and Ingram are all going to be all-stars, and we're the next Golden State Warriors just because we drafted a bunch of young guys. Newsflash, we aren't, because all these guys are not going to be stars. We are going to be very, very, very lucky if 2 of them become stars. And I think Ingram's on the path. He showed me some stuff tonight, that he showed me some juice that he had tonight, that some sauce that I didn't see him have last year. So I've got hopes for Ingram. Ball, the jury's still out. He's got a long way to go, and we got a whole season ahead of him to see, what he's got really once he plays with the real players, and once he gets, the Randalls and the Lopez's and Ingram and whoever our shooting guard ends up being. Once he gets those guys around him, he'll be better. So they'll make him better once he gets a full training camp, gets in better shape. It's another thing I really didn't mention. I think Lonzo, there's 2 things. I mentioned he was, kind of banged up and didn't practice a lot. But also at the same time, I think that he needs better conditioning. I think his dad's training program has not gotten him into elite athlete shape. I think he's been kind of doing a local neighborhood workout program when he needs to go to a facility that trains professional athletes like you see the NFL guys and a lot of these NBA players do. Lonzo needs that. He needs to get his body, his legs under him. He's got to get the muscles built up. He's got to get strength. He's got to get stamina, endurance, conditioning, cardio, all those things. He's got to get it all better than what he's got right now. And I've seen the videos of him working out with his dad where they're doing setups in the garage and little half pull-ups and running up a hill. That's not going to do it. You've got to have, structured, elite trainers that have trained the best athletes in the world, Olympic-level athletes and Olympic-level trainers train you to get ready for this level of basketball. So hopefully Lonzo gets that. But again, moral of this story is I'm impatient. I really hope Lonzo does well later against the Celtics so I don't have to read all the slander and hear about it and have every fan from every other team tweet me up like a storm and make fun of the Lakers, because I'm sick of being the laughingstock. I'm sick of being the butt into jokes. That's not who the Lakers are. We are not the team that loses to the Clippers every year. We are not that team. I am sick of it, and that's where all my frustration comes from. So if you think that, I'm coming across like I'm not a Lakers fan or whatever, no, it's quite the opposite. I'm the biggest Laker fan. I bleed purple and gold, and I want us to win. I want us to come back, and I want us to compete and be great, and I want us to do it as quickly as possible because we've already waited 4 or 5 years since we've been great. Or even longer than that since we've been great. Technically, we made the playoffs in like 2012, but it's been 5 years since we've even been good or solid. So I'm ready to be good again, and hopefully we get that going. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate everybody that engages with me on Twitter. I don't take anything personally, so don't stay away from sending me a message if you disagree with me or whatever. Don't refrain from doing that. If you think I'm an idiot or you think my points are stupid, tell me so, and we can engage in debates. I'm not gonna get mad or really, disrespect you or anything like that. So if you think I'm saying something right, hit me up on Twitter also. If you would, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter at LakersSource. I like to talk to you guys. I speak with a lot of you every day, so I enjoy engaging with you guys. I consider you guys Lakers fam and pals. So, if you keep hitting me up, even if we don't agree all the time, I don't care. We love Lakers basketball, and we love the Lakers, and we're going to continue to love the Lakers, and we're gonna rise to prominence once again. And I hope that these young players and next summer when we add a couple stars, we're right back in the mix, and I'm ready for it, and we'll see what happens. But thanks for tuning in today. I love you all. Till next time. Peace.